All right, our recording is in progress. Take it away, you guys.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Peraka, for inviting us to share what we like to call the best career you never heard of, the career of a court reporter. Hello, students. Thank you for joining us. I wish we were there in person. Maybe in the spring, we'll be there in person. Let me introduce myself. But first, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to bring up a PowerPoint, okay? Okay, so my name is Renee Bush. I am a retired certified shorthand court reporter. And I'm here to tell you about the best career you never heard of, the court reporter, which is in high demand. Court reporters are in high demand. It's a technology-driven profession, and it was the best career. I'm so happy I went down this path. Let me tell you a little bit about my story. I was a sophomore in high school, and a court reporter came to my high school on career day, and I watched her presentation. And the machine is what intrigued me. I am with Kim Richardson, my good friend and court reporter. And if we were in person, you would see her just like you're seeing now, but we would be in person. So I've asked her to join me so that you can see what the court reporter does. You can see the machine. So back to my story. I saw this presentation. I was intrigued. I decided I wanted to go to court reporting school. I took some courses in high school that I would need for the program, like terminology classes. And then I found out that a program was starting at Ohlone College in Fremont Community College. They don't have the program anymore, but you might be aware of Ohlone down in Fremont. And that's where I got my training. So I became a certified shorthand reporter and started my career in 1982, which was a really long time ago. And then in 2007, I became a co-owner of the agency that I started my career with in 1982, a company called Aiken and Welch Court Reporters. And so that was my story. I'm going to have Kim tell you her story because her story is different from mine.
I'm going to move over to the audio. Hello. I started on a whole different path. Right out of high school. In high school, I was a college prep student. I wanted to go to college. Right out of high school, my dad worked at General Motors and said, you have to come here. This is a really good job. You'll make good money. So at 18, I left and didn't go to college. I tried to take a couple classes at night, but I worked full-time on an assembly line building trucks. I made very good money back in that day. And at 19, I bought my first house. And so then I felt a little bit stuck, but I worked there 2.5 years and I realized that was not the job for me. I was too smart to stick and work that hard. So I started thumbing through the Ohlone College handbook that they sent out before, and they had a new program called court reporting that they were going to start in the fall. So in the spring, they offered a class called Intro to Court Reporting. And I took that class during the mornings while I worked a night shift. And they taught us about the machine. I had never even heard of this as a career. And they had guest speakers come in, and I'm one of 8 kids. So I grew up we weren't poor, but we didn't have a lot. So for me, I wanted to get into a job that I could make some good money. And so these speakers came in and started talking about what kind of money they could make and things like that. And I thought, oh my gosh, this sounds like a good career path. I'd also considered being a police officer or a lawyer. I wanted to do law, but when I saw the machine and I saw I'm going to be in the background, I just said, this is for me. And so I took that class and I've been a court reporter ever since. And I raised 4 kids with my husband, who was injured when our first son was born. So I pretty much supported our family for all these years. It's been a great job, and I want to get the word out there to have what a good career that could be for somebody. And that's my story.
Thanks, Kim. And so now she's going to put her fingers back on the keys. And yes, to add to my story, at some point, my husband and I, we were both self-employed, and it got too much after we had kids. So my husband became a stay-at-home dad from the time our youngest was in first grade. And I became the sole support of the family, and it was great for our family. Okay, so let me tell you about the different kinds of jobs that are available, the different career paths for court reporters. The career path that Kim and I chose was the freelance reporter. The freelance reporter is an independent contractor. We worked for ourselves. We set our own schedule. The court reporter is right here. And this is the scene of a deposition. A deposition is a discovery proceeding that our lawyers are afforded to learn more about a case. So an attorney will call in a witness, and they'll call a court reporter, and the court reporter will take down all the questions and all the answers and all the objections by the other attorneys. And then at the end of the day, he or she will go back to their office, and then the next week will transcribe those proceedings and create a booklet. We call it a transcript. And the attorneys who are interested in what was said, getting the record of what was said, will purchase the transcript. So this is the freelance reporter. It's what Kim and I did. And right here we have the career path of an official reporter. We have many friends who became official reporters, and they loved their careers as much as we loved ours. The official reporter works for the county or works for the state, works for the federal government. So they are employees. They are given an annual salary and a benefit package. And so they work in a building, although during COVID, they went to remote doing trials and hearings and motions. So they work for a judge or many judges. And I'm now going to talk to you about another career path called CART. 2 more career paths: CART, computer-aided real-time translation, and captioning, which I know you have all seen, captioning. So at this point, what Kim is doing is she's writing what we call real time. She's writing Steno on her machine of my words, and it's going through the computer aided software, translation software, and coming out in English. And so I'm going to have her share her screen. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to have her share her screen so that you can see the real-time translation as I am talking to you about these other 2 professions, career paths. So the CART reporter, she does real-time, like you see here, for the hearing impaired. And so he or she will be in a classroom setting, in a high school, maybe at a college campus. They also find themselves in industry-related seminars and conferences. you know, from court reporting conferences to tech conferences, a lot of industries have conferences, and they'll hire a court reporter to come in and provide this real-time feed of the presentations. So the speaker is in the middle of the room, and behind the speaker is a monitor, and the English feed is coming through for everybody to see. So captioning, you've all seen captioning of live TV, the news, sports programs, right? It's for the hearing impaired as well, but it's also for patrons of restaurants and things. You're sitting there and the playoffs is, you know, they've got the television going, you're watching the football game or a baseball game, and what the commentators are saying is scrolling at the bottom of the screen, right? So that's a court reporter who is providing those captions most of the time, not all the time. There's also speech to text software, which I know that you're aware of because we use it in our daily lives, right, with texting. So there's software that is also used to bring the captioning to some television programs. So when you're watching captions, if you see like words disappear, it's like somebody used the backspace and erased a couple words and then wrote again, a couple words reappear, that's a court reporter. Because a court reporter will see that, oh, that transcribed incorrectly, back it up and write the correct word again. But if you see captioning that doesn't do that and has a lot of errors, not as much punctuation, that's a voice to text automated software program that is bringing those captions. So these are two additional career paths for the court reporter. To be a freelance and an official court reporter in the state of California, you need to be licensed. To provide CART or captioning services, you do not. So I'm going to now ask him to stop sharing her screen. And I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. And we'll talk about the earning potential of a court reporter. So the freelance court reporter starts out at about $55,000 a year. A new court reporter is really beginning to build her dictionary of words, you know, that you write on the Steno machine and you define them in English. And so it takes time to get proficient at transcribing the legal proceedings that you're involved in. The second year, you about double what you did the first year, maybe 100,000. The third year, you're up to 125, and it's just beyond that. It depends on your skill level. It depends on how much you work, and the sky's the limit. The official court reporter in court, and these are figures I got a couple of years ago, and I'm not even sure what county they were from, but the entry level was $78,000 with the benefit package of $30,000, medical benefits, et cetera. And so the official reporter also provides transcripts, but not of everything. Attorneys don't want a transcript of everything. They don't need it. So an official reporter will garner about $1,500 a month in selling transcripts. That's on average. The highest annual salary for an official court reporter was $95,000 a year. This was a couple years ago. And so keep in mind that if you're in San Francisco County, an annual salary is going to be higher than if you're in Madera County or Stanislaus County. then it will be lower. So you see the machine that Kim is using. These are different iterations, how the machine has developed over the years. Kim and I, when we started, we had paper and we dictated from our notes, and somebody else transcribed that dictation to create the transcript. So this is the keyboard that Kim is writing on, and we call it writing. You know, we don't call it typing. Typing is one letter at a time. Writing on a Steno keyboard is all the letters, all the keys they depress all at the same time. So you depress different keys to create words. So let me break the keyboard down for you. 4 sections. This is the initial side of the keyboard. This is the final side of the keyboard. These are the vowels, and this is the number bar. So the reporter, right, and the keyboard, you don't see the letters like you see them here. You learn, it's all muscle memory through school. So you notice that not every letter of the alphabet is represented on this keyboard. And so we have consonants and sounds on this side and consonants and sounds on this side. And court reporters are taught to write things in syllables and phonetically as you hear them. And so the theory combines letters to make other letters, okay? So for instance, TPH, to us, that's the letter N. LR, that's the letter L. HR, sorry, HR is the letter L, right? So other letters combine to make the M and the B and the D. This is PB, that's the M. And then the vowels, there's different combinations here to make the long A sound, the long E sound, the long O sound, or the short A, short E sounds. So court reporters write things phonetically as they hear them, but they also have briefs. Just like we have briefs when we're texting, right? We text, we put LOL for laugh out loud. We use TBD for to be determined, stuff like that. Court reporters do the same thing. And so, you know, if they were going to brief, somebody was going to say laugh out loud, they might have the LOL brief by pressing these 2 keys for the L, the O, and then this side, the final L for loud, the word loud. This would stand for laugh out loud. And so court reporters will take common questions or answers, statements made in legal proceedings and create a brief for them. Some court reporters will have 1 stroke for when somebody says, state your name for the record, or I don't recall, I don't know, things that are commonly heard in legal proceedings. I didn't do it. Okay, let me talk to you now about where you can learn how to write on the Steno machine and start your career, your education towards a career in court reporting. In California, in the Bay Area, there is a school in Stockton that offers an associate's degree program and actually a bachelor's degree. There's a community college in the South Bay, there's a community college in the North Bay. But there are now online classes throughout the country for court reporting students. So last year, I was involved with 2 Castro Valley High students who went on to court reporting school. And at least one of them, maybe both of them, I'm not sure, are attending a community college in Pennsylvania for their training. It's all online. this school in Pennsylvania has a good reputation for graduating students in 2 to 2.5 years. And so I don't know, did I tell you that there's a high demand for court reporters? I think I did. So you may wonder, why is there a high demand for court reporters? It's because over the last 2 or 3 decades, parents were steering their kids to 4-year degrees programs, right? Well, this is a 2 to 2.5 year program, and you come out of school with not as much debt as a 4-year to college degree, and a job waiting for you wherever you want to set up your practice, your pursue your career. Maybe it's in California, maybe it's not. So these are online classes are very popular with students right now. And there are many good online programs. So let me tell you a little bit about the education. The types of classes you'll get are terminology classes, this list here, business, criminal law, of course, English and grammar is important for a court reporter, some court procedures which vary depending upon, where you're living. But most of the time in school, you're building speed. Okay, so are there any of you who play an instrument? Does anybody play an instrument? Okay, I can't even see if there's a hand. No instruments. Okay, well, learning, becoming proficient on the Steno machine is similar to playing an instrument, learning how to play an instrument. It takes practice. It takes practice to learn the strokes on the Steno machines that are associated with the words that you're hearing without thinking about it. So it's practice. You're developing muscle memory. Once you learn the theory of the machine, which is usually 2 college quarters, you'll start building speed. So in California, to work as a court reporter, you need to be licensed by the state, and you have to qualify to take the state exam by passing 2 tests at 225 words a minute on the machine. And then there's and so then you'll take a practical test, a 15-minute take or 10-minute take, I can't remember, at 225 words a minute, and then a written exam. And then once you're licensed, there will be a job waiting for you in California.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. So I'm going to share this with you. As I started giving these presentations, this list of attributes appeared. I was introduced to this list, and these attributes lend themselves to a good court reporter, being a good court reporter, and getting through school and out into the profession. These are attributes that lead to a good court reporter, right? So my story, if I had seen this list when I was a sophomore in high school, I probably would have turned around and walked right back out the door, because I was definitely not self-disciplined. I was a procrastinator. You saw my name in the dictionary under procrastinator. Just ask my mom. My English and grammar skills were okay. No time management skills. So I didn't see this list, thank goodness, and I decided to go to court reporting school. And through court reporting school, my English and my grammar skills got better. I became more disciplined, less of a procrastinator, managed my time. But those two things, time management and discipline, really came after I got into the workforce, I'll be honest. Because as a freelance reporter, you don't get paid until you turn in those transcripts. So I was no longer a procrastinator, and I managed my time very well. So, you know, take this list with a grain of salt. It's not, doesn't mean you won't make it or become a successful court reporter if you are interested in this career. So I belong to an organization called Project Steno. Project Steno was formed by court reporters throughout the country to bring awareness to the world about our profession. Because if you don't know a court reporter, member of your family, a friend, you don't know about this profession. I didn't know about it until I saw somebody, Kim, out in the working world. She didn't know about it. So Project Steno, our mission is to bring awareness and develop a pipeline of students into schools throughout the country. And in order to do that, they created an introduction to Steno course. It's called Basic Training. And so this is a program over 6 weeks, 1 day a week for 2 hours. You learn the alphabet. So you'll learn 2 or 3 or 4 letters, sounds, you know, on the Steno machine, a couple of numbers. And then you have a week to practice what you learned via a website. Project Steno sends you a loaner Steno machine for you to use during this program. All we ask is that you pay for the shipping. And what this has done is this has brought students to school. And also it has informed potential students that this is something that they would not be interested in. Because like anything else, this is not for everybody. But the machine is so intriguing that you want to, you know, test it out for a test drive. And I think the statistic is 69% of the people who stick with the whole 6-week program end up going to school. So this has been a very successful program to get students in school. So if you have any interest, I want you to go to projectsteno.org/student, and that's where you can get started. Check out what we have. You can register. And the 2 students I talked to you about from Castro Valley High School from last year, they both took this intro program before they signed up for court reporting school. Oh, and I wanted to mention, one of the students did not learn about court reporting through me or a you know, presentation like this. She learned about court reporting through TikTok. I guess there was a brand new student who was just going to school and was just so excited. There's a TikTok video out there, so look for that. So I want to tell you about what I loved about the career I chose. Number 1 was the flexibility. I was in charge of my schedule. I worked a lot. I didn't work so much when my kids, you know, had field trips or I was involved in parent club activities. That and the fact that every day was a different day for me. I was in an attorney's office today. I was in a doctor's office tomorrow. I was learning a little bit about so many subjects and being exposed to different careers out there, whether it be HR or a construction expert or an accident reconstruction expert. and you just meet people from all walks of life. And it's just been an amazing career. As I said, I was the sole support of my family for a time, and it afforded me flexibility. And I know that Kim would say the same thing about what she loved about the career as well.
Plus we could go skiing during the week, take a day off and just ski.
That's right. We could take days off during the week to do things. So I'm going to stop sharing. This is basically the end of my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, first off, Renee, I want to say thank you so much because that was a really cool presentation. I really enjoyed all the information. And I have to say also, even though we don't have any students who are musicians, I've been a pianist for about 20 years. And so I can understand how it's very similar and see like that there's so much art to stenography.
Yes, absolutely.
And with the practice and the repetition, there's a lot to relate to there. So, you know, you can't speak to that highly enough, just of how important it is, the practice and the repetition and the art of it.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful career too in a lot of ways. So yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. Does any of you guys have any questions? You want to come up? Sure.
You should tell them more about it. She's going to give them the contact info.
I got you. So we have a question from one of our students.
Okay.
Gabe, he wants to know, what was the most difficult class that you had to take in college, or the most difficult kind of part that you would have said about yourself?
Oh, okay. The most difficult part is the speed building. And so at some point, everybody reaches a plateau, whether that's at 160 words per minute, 180 words per minute, everybody reaches a plateau. And so you have to work a little harder when you reach that plateau. You can't get discouraged, but very few people, you know, climb the ladder at a steady pace until they're at 225 words a minute without a plateau. I think Kim would agree with me.
Yeah, 160, that was mine.
Yeah, I think 160 was mine too. But academically, you know, the classes weren't difficult. It was that plateau. And, you know, from one speed to another, before you can pass on to another speed, you have to pass tests. You know, speed test, you have to transcribe and only miss a certain percentage. You have a certain percentage of errors. You have to pass 3 different tests, and then you move on to the next speed. So a lot of my frustration, I'll share, was because I wasn't so great with English and grammar and spelling. I'm still a horrible speller. But you guys, people coming into court reporting now, they don't have to be good spellers because it tells you when it's spelled wrong, right? So I was a terrible speller. I'm still a terrible speller. My son's a terrible speller. And so those were my mistakes. And so I dealt with a lot of frustration, personal frustration for not spelling things right and missing a comma or whatever. That is all part of it. And I want to mention, my daughter is a court reporter. She started down a different path and hated school, was done with school, went to work, and within 8 months said, you know, I think it's time I try court reporting. And I think she's in her 4th year as a professional court reporter. So, yeah. You have anything to add about that, Kim? No?
No, this is what got me when I listened, is what somebody came in and said they earned. And I mean, I'll share personal, just because Last year, I earned $200,000 doing this, but I've been doing this for 30 years. So your income goes up, but you have the potential to make what you want to make, just depending on how hard you work. And so to me, that was a game changer when I learned I could go out and do this and I can actually make a good living at it. So it's a great job. And that's the only reason we're here is because as you can see, we're aging out of this and we need good court reporters. And if you're a court reporter starting out right now, they're begging for you to come in. So it's a great career if it's something that interests you. It's another alternative to all the careers out there.
Yeah, and it's a trade. It's more of a, it's a trade type career like an electrician or whatever. But in the freelance world, you're kind of in control of your schedule and how much you want to make.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, guys. Any other questions? All right. I don't think that we have any other questions, but I do want to thank you guys again. This has been a really, really wonderful presentation, very informative, and I'm really excited that we can put this on our YouTube page for our students who were not able to make it today. So yeah, I just really want to thank you guys, and hopefully we'll be able to have you back soon in the spring.
Yes.
And hopefully in person, because I know our students would love to see the demonstration live.
Yeah, we'd love to be back in person, and please pass on our contact information. I'll give that to you in an email for Kim. And if anybody wants one-on-one to talk or whatever, we're available.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And I'll pass along your information and we'll be in touch. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Guys.
Bye.